Hi there YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. In this video we're taking a look at another one of the brand new for 2020 Bachmann N-Scale engines. This time it's Thomas's best friend Percy. There's not much more I can say in the intro. Let's get to it. Alright YouTube, this is the box of the Bachmann N-Scale Percy. As you can see, it's very similar to the Thomas one. If you've seen that video, you know what to expect. Again, this, so you've got Percy the small engine, blah blah on the back, cool. Again, the documentation inside is the same, we just get another exploded diagram of Percy, so that is that. What are we waiting for? Let's crack him open! Alright, now again, as with Thomas, he is very small. I have now learned from my mistakes and have zoomed in on the camera so you can really get an idea of the finer details that are on this model. So, let's first come into the face! Bachmann, see, what the heck? You didn't get Thomas right, but you nailed Percy. I think this is an awesome Percy face. I love it. I think it's excellent. A triple plus from me. Although, to be honest, we should just cancel and burn all merchandise that gets the faces wrong, because literally the whole point of Thomas Tank Engine is it's talking trains with faces. That's kind of the only thing you have to get right. Anyway, sorry, I'm going to stop ranting about the faces being wrong. But yes, excellent. I am very happy with that. Again, we've got this a high level of detail again on the running board here of Percy. You can see we've got the lamp, we've got lamp irons, we've got the brake hoses. Percy even gets this detailing, which is like the little brake hose, the other brake hose hole. It's very hard for me to get to focus on that. And he also gets some riveting details around his buffer beams. They really went all out here for Percy, which is really nice to see. We come around to the side and we're getting again some, that kind of fine detailing there on his little side boxes. I don't even know what they are, sand boxes? Who knows? You get that detailing in there of I think they're like the weight suspension thingies. Someone will correct me and be like, how are you been Thomas Friends fan for 25 years and still don't know that? Sorry. The Percy things, that's what they are. We've got the nice striping done along here. We've got the whistle here and his little other valve, which is really nice. And I think this is why I am annoyed about Thomas having, not the 3D valves, is because I understand if they did them all because they're so small, but Percy, they did them there, so I don't know why they couldn't do it on Thomas. Confused. Come around to the side again, he's got the closed-in cab, but he does have the details. Interestingly, it's actually frosted plastic on the front of Percy's there. You can kind of see, I'm trying to focus in on you can see the light in there. So there is actually openings. They are actually openings, so you can see the light from the other side, which I think is really wild. That's nice. We get the painting along here for the coal bunker. Number 6, good. White running board, yes. Come around to the back. We get the light. Again, you can see literally all the hairs. That's how small this is. Again, some really good detail here on the back of the engine. But what you're also seeing probably is that up close, some of these details are a little bit not done super well. I think that's actually a speck of dirt that I could probably, I think I can rub that one off. But again, similar to Thomas, there are just a couple of areas where I'm not super sold. If we come around to Percy's face, you can see the finish on his face. There's some couple of weird lumps. There's a weird divot there on his boiler. You can see there's a really ugly kind of seam along the cab here, where you can see where the cab is of this piece is obviously separate to this piece. That to me is pretty ugly. It's a pretty big gap. And it's totally not focused on me now. Good. You can see that gap is pretty big. I'm not a big fan of that. Equally, there's a bit of a seam along the top here you can see as well. So the finish up really close is not great. But anyway, still not done with the details. We come around, you've got the pistons. Stop. The cylinders here with the pistons. So this middle part here is plastic, this light grey part, but the other part is metal, so that's good to see. Glad to see that there's some metal here. I just have some concerns about there being metal on plastic in terms of longevity. And then again, he's got the similar wheels to Thomas in that they are painted. They're not hollow, they're not spaced out. So the spokes are just painted on, they're not real, but it is what it is. And again, the same kind of couplers, similar kind of situation going along. On the bottom here, again, apologies for all the focusing. This is very difficult to get to stay in focus. So that's what the details of the little Percy, the green engine, looks like. I think for the most part, nails it, and I actually think he does a better job than Thomas, which is becoming a bit of a recurring theme. in merchandise lines, getting Percy done right better than Thomas. But now, what you've been waiting for, let's do some comparisons. Alright, so I've got Percy down here on a piece of Tomic's track. So the first thing I want to compare him to is the Bachmann N-Scale Troublesome truck. And again, we can just couple that up. And we can see that again, I think the scaling is maybe better. But it does still seem like the truck is just that little bit too big. Again, it's coming up to right under to, again, the window line here, which to me is just not quite where you want it to be. I don't know, am I crazy? That seems like, you know, where you want it to be. Again, if we pull this truck off and compare it to an N-scale Pico truck, couple that up again, you can see it still looks a little bit too small, or the truck looks a little bit too large. Something which I didn't do in the Thomas review is compared to the Tomic's trucks. So here we go. Here is Percy compared to the Tomic's truck, and that is comical. It is just insane how small these are and how big the trucks are. Let's take that off, and then let's compare it to the Bachmann, Annie, and Clarabelle. And again, I did some more research on this, trying to look up lots of photos of Thomas pulling Annie and Clarabelle, Percy pulling Annie and Clarabelle, because I wanted to be able to say this with some amount of confidence before I go and stuff it up and it'd be on the internet forever. Again, I think Percy is close, but the same thing when I looked at pictures of Percy with Annie and Clarabelle, his cab is the same. It should come up to about the same height as the roof of Annie, and again, you can see it's about a millimeter or two too small, which is the same on Thomas. So it seems like what they've done is they've made Thomas and Percy to a slightly smaller scale than Annie and Clarabelle and the trucks, which just, why? Like, it's more difficult to make these at a small scale because they're motorized. You've got to have the electronics, you've got to have the gears, you've got to have the motor, you know, like it's harder to make these things small because that's why they're so expensive. And, you know, that's why they double the price of the HO or the OO scale versions, is because you have to compress everything and make it very tiny. So you could have made this a bit bigger and made life easier for your engineers, and you did not. I don't understand. So that's the weirdness of the scaling there. Still looks like Percy is a little bit too small. And then I'll bring out the bombshell reveal, which is what we saw with Thomas. Similar story for Percy. And if we look at the front of these engines, you can see that the Percy from Tomic's doesn't even have a lamp, whereas the one from Bachmann has the lamp and the lamp irons and the coupling hook. Hook, and also the brake lines. And again, it's got those details like the little rivet details around the buffer beams and the extra hose spot here, compared to the comparatively very empty buffer beam area of the Tomic's Percy, which I think is interesting, an interesting choice. Again, as we kind of tilt to the side, you can see again, there's still some ugly seams on the Tomic's Percy, but I think they're probably equally as bad. They're just different bad on each engine, which is really unfortunate. Why does that happen? If we come around to a side comparison, again, you can see really in this picture, the glossy, really glossy coat they've given these Bachmann ones compared to the matte coat we get on the Tomic's ones. You can see again, the extra details such as the little hinges on these are missing on the Tomic's versions, which I think is interesting to note. But then again, you've got an all-metal running gear and pistons and cylinders on the Tomic's one versus the bit of plastic on the Bachmann one. Again, the whistles, I actually think are done better on the Bachmann one. You can see they're a very yellow color, like kind of a fake yellow on the Tomic's one, whereas on the Bachmann one, they're gold, as you can see there in the back. If we come around to the cab, again, the Tomic's one is an open cab, but it's like, you can see the motor in there, which I actually think is kind of ugly. I would prefer a closed cab if it's not going to be totally open. So I actually am totally happy for them to close the cab for the Bachmann ones. Again, the coal loads, if we come around to kind of the whole back view situation, the coal loads are quite different, which is interesting. And one of those things you wouldn't think they would change it, but they have. Again, I don't really have a strong preference either way. Probably slightly more realistic with the Bachmann one because it's flat rather than that big mound. Percy, again, has a bit more detail on the back, but I think the Bachmann one wins out quite obviously here because you can see we've got the lamp, we've got the little buffering details around here, and also the coupling the brake line. Why does that always stick on my tongue? So again, it seems like Bachmann has gone a little bit harder on the small details, but as you again can see, the finish on I think the Tomix one is a little bit more model-like. It's a little bit more professional, I want to say, and it doesn't have any of those sloppy edges that we kind of see on that Bachmann one at the back there. So you guys will have to be the judge about it. You can really see that glossiness showing up in the reflection of my lighting. So really shows you the glossiness on the Bachmann one. I'm going to take Percy down to the track for a little bit of a run so I can show you what he runs like, and then we will come back to the studio. So apologies for going freehand in this part of the video. I just want to have a quick chat about the running performance of Percy. As you will have seen from some of those shots, Percy is a really nice runner. Very smooth, hasn't really required any running in, as I've kind of already talked about. Yeah, he's really smooth to operate, doesn't seem to have any problems with any electrical contacts. As you can see, he looks really nice here with some troublesome trucks running after him. These are the Bachmann troublesome trucks. I've just got duplicates, and then it's a Pico brake van as a substitute. But you can see there he does go, not that quickly. For reference, this is about 3/4 on the controller. If we put him at full speed, this is how fast he goes. So as you can see, it's not really that quick. But I think that's fine. What do you expect from kind of an N-scale locomotive? I don't know how much we expect, but yeah, he does look really good. As you can see, if I just, shut my pie hole for a moment, he doesn't make any loud noises either, which is really nice. Very nice, quiet runner. And you can just see that he does look really, really nice. Yeah. The performance on this is pretty good. I am quite happy. Alright, so the N-scale Bachmann Percy, what are my thoughts? Again, I think I'm less conflicted on Percy than on Thomas. I think the fact that the face is good crosses off one of the 3 complaints I had about Thomas. The other 2 are still there. I think the finish, the quality in the finish is not quite as good as I would like it to be given the price, and the scaling issue still is totally befuddling to me. I have no idea how or why they managed to make such a mistake. But anyway, here we are, and it's been made. Otherwise, I think it's all really nice. I do think the Percy is a nice model. Again, for the price, would I recommend him? Going to be up to you. I think you need to pick one. I think the competition between the 2 Percys is a lot closer than the competition between the 2 Thomases, I think. Again, mainly because the face is correct on this Percy and is really good. But as I noted in my previous video and all my Bachmann videos, they're not really compatible. So if you have the Bachmann Thomas, you can't really get the Tomix Percy. They'll look dumb together. So you can't really do it. So I think you need to you're going to have to pick a line and kind of go for it. And that's going to be the best way to get, the most value and enjoyment and consistency out of your N-scale model railway. Again, Percy is being charged at the same price as Thomas is, which is $165. And again, for reference, that is about the same price as it costs to get the the Tomix Thomas of Percy. Getting my engines all mixed up. But the Tomix Percy also came with Scruffy, the troublesome truck. So you did get an extra piece of rolling stock with the Tomix one for pretty much the same price. And remembering too that the smaller Bachmann troublesome trucks are about 40 Australian dollars. So you were getting more value for money out of the Tomix 2-pack set than the individual set. That said, obviously, it means now you can't get any more troublesome trucks with the new Tomix line because they're not sold separately from the engines. So there's that. But yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts on Percy. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts. I know people have had a lot of comments about these on other forums. I've seen a lot of comments on my channel being like, when is it coming? When is it coming? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. So please let me know your thoughts. And I really look forward to bringing these engines to you in some new content really, really soon. So thanks so much for watching, guys. It's all a good time for this XtremeTrainz.